Welcome to section 8.3. This is factoring situations that are like this, x squared plus bx plus c. So to put this in terms that we are used to, we could say we're factoring trinomials that maybe look like this. X squared plus 4x plus, let's say, x squared plus 4x plus 4. So where b represents this term 4, and C represents this other term 4. And this is all kind of fine and dandy, and so we're going to work ourselves through some of these. So to start out with, first things first, I want us to start with just getting familiar with the FOIL method again and understanding that. So FOIL method, this is what we're talking about. X times x, the first terms. X times 5, our outside terms. 2 times x, our inside terms, and our last terms, 2 times 5. And so we can simplify this. So we have combined like terms, and we have 7x plus 10. And we're going to do this with every single problem. So we do x squared plus 7x minus 3x minus 21, or plus a negative, So we have x squared plus 4x minus 21. Here's our next one. X squared, x times 2 is 2x, x times the negative 9 is negative 9x, negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. So our final answer after we combine like terms, x squared minus 7x minus 18. Our last one, x squared minus 8x minus 5x, and our last one plus 40. So we end up with x squared minus 13x plus 40. So looking at these, what I want you to do now is I want you to look at this, and I want you to pay very close attention to our middle coefficient. So that middle number in all of these, what do you see is interesting about that middle coefficient? And if you're looking closely and you're relating it back to the original equation, if I look at this 7x is essentially 2 plus 5, and then an x added to it. This 4x is essentially 7 minus 3, or 7 plus a negative 3. We have also here negative 9 plus 2, and that equals negative 7. And here, negative 5 minus 8, negative 13. So our middle coefficient are the two original numbers added together. So that's kind of neat. I like that. Original numbers. Let's make that obviously a number sign. They're the two original numbers in the factored equation. They are the two original numbers added together. So now let's look at one other thing. Let's look at what do you notice about the constant term. So if I look at this term, and I'll do it in orange on this one, 10. And then we have negative 21. There's negative 18 and positive 40. If I look at positive 40, negative 21, negative 18, positive 10, what do I notice about that constant? Well, looking at that and also relating it back to that original idea of maybe let's look at 10 and looking back at this. 10 is essentially 2 times 5. And here, the 21 is 7 times a negative 3. That gets us the negative 21. This 18 here is negative 9 times 2. This is all pretty cool. That 40 is essentially negative 5 times a negative 8. So we notice that the constant is the two terms or numbers multiplied together. So taking the idea that the middle coefficient is those two numbers added together, and the ending coefficient, or the ending constant, is the two terms multiplied together. Let's now do a little bit of practice. So we have this situation. I can't get it quite right. We have this situation, x squared minus 14x plus 40. So before, we were looking at things adding to be a negative 14 and multiplying to be 40. So this is times, and this is addition. So I'm going to set myself up with the t-chart, and I'm going to actually have multiplication to 40 on one side and addition to negative 14 on the other side. So I would like you to think about numbers that are factors of 40. So we have 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40. So let's write these down. 1 and 40 go together. 2 and 20 go together. 4 and 10 go together. And 5 and 8 go together. Now if I were to add those two numbers up, I am going to be 1 plus 40 equals 41. 2 plus 20 equals 22. 4 plus 10 equals 14. I'm going to do a little highlight there. And 5 plus 8 equals 13. So it looks like this 4 and 10 are my answer. That's pretty helpful. But my question now is, how do I get it to be negative? Well, I also need to think. 40 is a way that I can get to 40 saying negative 4 times a negative 10. For sure, that totally works. I get a positive 40 out there. A negative times a negative is a positive. So, in all reality, my final answer is not simply x and a positive 4. Instead, it's going to be x and a negative 4. So we're going to say x minus 4 times x minus 10 will get us back to this original equation. And if we did FOIL, we could actually check and make sure that works. Let's actually do one more problem. X squared plus 2x minus 15. So remember, these numbers have to multiply, these numbers have to add. So we need multiplication to negative 15, and we need addition to 2. So let's think, what numbers multiply to be 15? 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. So if I put those in my t-chart, 1 times 15 will get me 15, and 3 and 5 will get me 15. And if I were to add them up, I get 16. And if I were to add these up, I get 8. But wait, I look at this right here, this negative 15. That means one of these numbers, 1 or 15, or 3 and 5, one of these in each set has to be negative. So we need to figure out which one is going to be negative, because if we add them up, they don't add to be 2, and we need something to add to be 2. One thing I noticed right here, 3 and 5, their differences are 2. So if I said 5 minus 3, we get 2. If I do 3 minus 5, I get negative 2. So my answer is going to be this one, a positive 5 and a negative 3. So we can write our final answer as x plus 5, x minus 3. I hope this little tutorial helps you a bit when you are actually trying to figure out some of these factors. If you weren't able to understand them during class, hopefully this helps. This t-chart right here can be an incredibly beneficial tool, so please use it to keep yourself organized if you need it. Remember, you're doing one side, you're multiplying to a number, and the other side you're going to be adding to another number. So hopefully that will help. Please continue through the homework, and I hope if you have questions, you ask them. Thank you so much.